Welcome back to Farmers Inside Track, South Africa's most downloaded farmers podcast. I'm your host, Patricia Tembo, and today's episode is brought to you by Bio360 Africa. In today's episode, we discuss bioenergy, innovation, sustainability, and what it means for African agriculture. Here is my colleague Lusani Khubana in conversation with Gordon Ayres, SABIA Secretary General, Paul Stuart, who is the CEO and Director of Bioenergy Events and Services, as well as Lusani Khubana, who is a Projects Officer at Madam Waste.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. Paul, I'd like to start with you. Why is it so critical for the modern African farmer to be plugged into the bioenergy events and services, or BEES, as we put it, network right now?
Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you and your membership. Why right now? Well, it's a good question. I would say a number of things to answer that question. One thing that farming experiences the world over is a need to diversify its income. Obviously, the purpose of farming is to produce food for the table, but then with fluctuations in the markets, some farming activities can be quite vulnerable. So the idea of having diversified income streams from the products and the co-products, and that's what we're talking about the co-products, which some people would describe as residues or wastes, but these are really co-products of agriculture. By valorizing these through the different streams, the pathways that bioenergy and the bioeconomy propose, there is the opportunity to diversify income, and that can only be a good thing for farming. And then related to that is also the opportunities through bioenergy to remediate and to invigorate and to amend soils that have been depleted over the years. There's also an opportunity to improve productivity through farming, through the activities that are associated with bioenergy. That's it in a nutshell.
And Paul, before you need to leave us, which of these technologies do you think offers the quickest return on investment for a South African producer today?
I'm pleased you asked me that question. I would caution against viewing this as the quickest return on investment. Return on investment is definitely there, but the slight trap that I think people can fall into is thinking that, oh, it's a quick investment, whereas if you put up a solar panel, you walk away and it's producing. If you're in bioenergy, there's a supply chain to be a part of. There are other parameters that require taking a step back and considering upstream, downstream, where do you fit in, who are you contracting with? So the quick investment should be tempered with the idea of having control, having pre-planned and pre-thought about what you're doing. And we see projects that don't always succeed, and often it can be the case because it hasn't been decided in advance where the feedstock is coming from, what the specification for that, can we meet the specification of this feedstock that's required? So these are all elements that are part of a value chain, if you like, that needs to be thought about and considered. And when you've got that under wraps and you've preempted everything that you need to preempt, then you can talk about, okay, now what is the return on investment? Is it 5 years? Is it 6 years? Is it a bit more? Is it a bit less? And that's what preconditions the return on your investment. It's having thought things through fully to begin with. So of the different pathways that you mentioned, there are, yes, indeed, many different pathways, and they all require this pre-thought. So it can be liquid fuels, it can be a biodiesel from non-edible oil seeds, which are from agriculture potentially, or it can be any kind of organic waste stream out of agricultural food processing that is methanizable, though that can create biogas. Some residues are more cellulosic, lineocellulosic, so they're hard, they don't break down into biogas easily, but they can be made into pellets or converted directly into heat and power, which is either used on site or injected into the electricity grid. And then you mentioned biochar. This is obviously a really current topic, and there's a lot going on. It delivers so many benefits in terms of also storing carbon, as well as at the same time restoring grounds, earth, and reinvigorating life into soils. So there definitely is opportunity for farming in bioenergy. There's no question about it, but you need to step back before you step forward. You have to consider where you are in the supply chain, get all, as I said before, make sure everything's in a line, and then you can move forward and look at what the investment payback time will be.
I like that, stepping back before you move forward. Now, Gordon, we often see great tech in Europe that sometimes doesn't work here. How has BEES adopted its 20 years of international experience to ensure the solutions presented are Africa ready? 20 years is a long time, eh?
The whole approach by the bees team has been totally different. It's all been about collaboration. It's been talking to locals, talking to local business, speaking to local government. They've really engaged properly to have a look at where we are. We've seen enough failed examples in Africa, unfortunately, and I think lessons have been learned. And money, a couple of years ago, there was huge amounts of money available that was grant money and so on, was really being thrown at Africa. If I can say it in a kind of a reckless manner, there wasn't any real need to give a full end of a project and say, okay, great, the money's being used effectively. It's made community upliftment. It's actually made a difference. It was just the whole tick boxing. And the bees team has taken a totally different look at things, working together with South Africa. I mean, even the fact that we involved as SABIA, the way that they kind of approaching and we speaking to them, they speaking to us. I think that melded approach is going to create very much a different picture. And also what's been happening in South Africa is the turning. We've been seeing a couple of years ago, I've been in biogas for, don't want to lie, I think about 20 years. And the turning that we're seeing, the understanding on the ground, we're starting to see biogas in schools, we're starting to see industries grabbing it, we're starting to see water processing being worked with it. And I think that approach is a much better route to success.
Gordon, for the agro-processors and dairy farmers listening, how does the bees platform assist in navigating the complex world of carbon management and green certification?
So it's a brand new part of the industry. This is a whole brand new thing that farmers are starting to try to engage with. 2 days ago, Standard Bank brought out their carbon credits agreement that they put up, especially aiming at the agricultural space. And the ability to get into this space has to be done in a cautious manner. It's not going to be something that a farmer is going to rush into, and they need a lot of guidance into it. So you're going to start with your bigger farmers, bigger agricultural standards, and then working your way down even into emerging market farmers. So it's not something that the farmer is naturally aware of. A straight out market, for instance, a corn market, how much is corn per ton? The farmer can read it. They look at it on their computer. They can say, great, this is how much I'm going to receive for this. But to engage with this different, if I can say, it's like almost a different tech, and then how to unlock the variances in this tech. So it's going to be all about low emission tilling. It's going to be about biogas. It's going to be about waste management. There is so many moving parts in it. And I believe that this engagement will really assist because there's history. It's been done before. And the team bringing its skills, bringing its background, bringing all the history means that we don't have to rebuild the wheel. It is not a problem where we have to say, all right, how do we begin this thing? We already got this background machine that we can engage with properly. And I think that's a huge benefit to South Africa.
You mentioned there that it's been done before. Are there any improvements that you're noticing?
When I speak about it's been done before more overseas, the engagement. So unfortunately, when you're building something for the very first time, there are going to be some bumps. If I remember back to the cell phone industry, the difference between analog and digital, and there was a huge amount spent on hunting different versions. By the time the cell phone came to South Africa, it was dead easy. Everyone knew what to do, and the absorption and adoption was massive and very quick. So what I'm talking about is lessons that were learned overseas in terms of how to engage with the carbon crediting. And just recently, we have seen quite a fallout where people kind of thought that they understood the methodology. There was a bit of bumps and grinds, and suddenly they realized they're over-reporting or under-reporting, and people are not sure about how the carbon credits work. So this is all lessons that we don't have to go through. It has already been done. Somebody else took the pain for us. At this stage, when we're engaging, we're going to be engaging on a much better and a stronger level.
Yes, better and stronger. Here's another important practical question, Gordon. If a farmer uses their bee subscription to prepare for the Bio360 Africa event, What should they be looking for in the innovation showcase to future-proof their farm?
So basically, I would advise farmers to really come and bring an open mind. You don't know what the future holds in terms of technology. There's a whole lot of stuff that they maybe haven't seen before. And not to just say, oh, that's not for me. So really, I believe, bring an open mind, come and have a look at what's available, engage with the guys that are there. They've come all the way from Europe. They come from China. They've come from India. They come from all over the world to come and tell you stuff. So really just engage. Just say, how does this work? How does that go? And then basically just bring those skills that you have. So have a look at it from a farming perspective. Have a look at it from a cost perspective. Have a look at it from a return perspective. Have a look at it from technical fitting within where you are and what you want to do. And then see and then mull it. Really just have a look. This is a voyage of discovery. As long as you bring your open mind, as long as you just have a look at it, that's really, really what we would want for the farmer. And see what's there, see what's available, see how much the world has changed around us.
Lusani, I'd love to get your perspective on this one. So the upcoming Bio360 Africa event at Galaga Convention Center focuses on valorizing waste. For a farmer sitting with tons of agricultural residue, how does the BEES platform help them turn that overhead into an income stream?
On my side, firstly, to the farmers listening, hello. Secondly, the waste you're sitting on, you're literally sitting on a gold mine. That's a lot of money, actually. So this event just offers an opportunity to sort of explore the bioeconomy itself. So like Gordon said, 100% sympathize with that. The farmers just need to bring an open mind and see what's out there. There are many technologies that can turn that waste and valorize it and show value. I'm going to speak from a point of view of someone who had their coffee on biogas this morning. It brings a lot of value, the waste. So farmers, they sit on a very nice settings in terms of the bioeconomy because they already have the feedstock. The waste they're considering to be waste, it's actually feedstock that can generate electricity. It also solves the problem of waste disposal. Instead of spending money to throw away that waste, they can then get their money back by no longer throwing it away and actually getting something from it. For biogas, for an example, biogas produce electricity or heat. It also produces digestate, which is this very nice compost or fertilizer, very rich in nitrogen, which is exactly what the South African soil needs. So that's one way to look at it. There's multiple opportunities for farmers to actually get their money back or their value from the waste. So we're talking about the heat, the electricity, the waste disposal that they no longer have to do, the fertilizer itself. It also makes the farm like punctuation proof in a sense that can no longer be affected by changes in prices. For an example, the world is going crazy. The price for electricity is going up. The price for fuel is going up. So with the bioeconomy, it offers that opportunity to have a farm that's independent and can run on itself in circular economy and sustain itself. So it's a very, very incredible opportunity for the farmers to come and engage and see what they can do. It also opens up opportunities for the supply of the material. If they find that it's not my thing, then there are markets for actually feedstock where they can just take the feedstock and receive income from it. So it's a very incredible opportunity. One thing that I also realized, there's a new culture of consumers who are being very cautious of what they take in. So it also offers that opportunity for the farmer to position themselves as a sustainable producer.
And Lusani, as you mentioned, in an era of load shedding and rising input costs, what is your message to the farmer who thinks bioenergy is too expensive or maybe too complicated for them?
The technology itself is there, it's simple. And then for the farmer, in terms of return on investment, like I said, there's multiple forms of getting their money back. One which Gordon mentioned, which is a new market of carbon credits. With the carbon tax is really opening up a lot of opportunities for South Africa. So there's that one. If I talk about the old benefits, I can talk about them the whole day. The fertilizer itself. So now it means they will no longer spend as much on fertilizer. That's another area where they will start seeing the return on investment. Plus the electricity itself that processes generates or the heat they can use that's another way they will start to sort of see the return of money as well.
Gentlemen, I'd like to open this final questions up for all of you. So looking ahead over the next, let's say, 5 years, what is the one major shift or opportunity in bioenergy that you believe African farmers cannot afford to ignore? Maybe Paul, let's start with you, then we'll come to Lusani and Gordon.
There's no simple answer to that because different farmers have different crops, be they ground-based crops, be they animals, and each one has a different opportunity for bioenergy. What I would say is what the common thread is between them all, they all have revenue opportunities from these side streams. It's local energy as well. So it's an energy that keeps currency within an economy. It also provides local employment. It also provides opportunities for upskilling and contributes to the local economy itself. So bioenergy not only is energy, it ticks a lot of boxes which improve livelihoods the world over. So what is common between all the different farming activities is they have these co-products and these residues, which today, really, if you look around the world, a lot of opportunity exists to valorize these. And there's at the same time, there's a lot of investment into improving technologies to enable them to actually become deployable at scale. So I really think that in the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to see a big uptake. That is part of our role as the organizer of this event, of course, is to create a platform whereby people with resource can interlink and meet and understand from the people who can provide technologies to valorize those resources so that they can get together. And that way, the people with these opportunities in farming can understand and see, like Gordon was saying, and come along and with an open mind, and you will discover things that maybe you know something of, but new things. Your mind will open to the possibility of what it is that you hold in your hands and what you can do with it. And that can only be a good thing. So I really think with all these different side streams of agriculture across the board, we will see a big shift in bioenergy in the years to come.
Lusani, you can go ahead.
I think Paul has actually said it all. On my side, I definitely agree with what he said. They can no longer afford to sit on the resource they have, which is tons and tons of agricultural waste, which is perfect feedstock for these technologies. On the next few days, they should definitely come, use the platform, exploit opportunities that are there, and start seeing how they can implement the solutions on their farm. If you're a small farmer, you have 1 ton, that still can also act as a resource. You can start small, you can start big based on the needs you have. Definitely come through and find out what's in store.
So realistically, farming is not what it used to be. Since the late 1940s, we've been using chemical fertilizers, get more out of the land, and we've come to a point where actually it's just not working anymore. Those fertilizers have poisoned the soils. We've killed off the microfloras. This technology is the future for farming. The monetary value coming out of the waste, I think, is very important. But I think we've got to not lose sight that this is a much better farming methodology. If we can use our waste in our farming practice and we can use it in such a way we run it through biogas or biochar or even gasification methodologies, you're going to end up with a much better product. The nitrogen added back to the soils. We've seen fauna and flora within the soils themselves, earthworms redeveloping again. That's basically what we're talking. The consumer of today and the consumer of tomorrow is not wildly interested in chemicalized foods anymore. We have seen the dangers. We've seen what happens. So I honestly believe that this step is the future for farming. It's not really a question of, are you going to do it? The question would be more, are you still wanting to be a viable farmer in 10 to 15 years from today? And if the answer is yes, then guys and gals, you're going to have to get to grips with this technology. And this is one of the best opportunities and methodologies of doing that. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, Wes. Thank you from my side as well. Look forward to seeing you there.
Just one last fact to close on the podcast. I actually came across it by chance, but the first farmer who bought the biogas technology to South Africa was a farmer indeed. So this technology was firstly used by farmers and is perfect for you guys. So you just have to continue what he started.
And that was my colleague Lisa Kanya Vena in conversation with Gordon Ayres, SABIA Secretary General, Paul Stuart, who's the CEO and Director of Bioenergy Events and Services, as well as Lusani Khubana, who's the Projects Officer at Madam Waste. This is Farmers Inside Track, and this episode was brought to you by Bio360 Africa. Thank you for listening and keep growing with us.